Robots Radio presents...
Today's chat is brought to you by, well, all of your support. Through the patronage you provide the Focus Fire chat team through Podbean's crowdfunding, we are able to provide you with the weekly podcast as well as the website and other aspects of Focus Fire chat. If you have any interest in becoming a patron of the FFC, please be sure to visit our website and click on the support link. Even a single dollar helps, and for those of you who are already patrons, thank you again for your generosity.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat. Explore together.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on October 9th, 2020 over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat as we continue our discussion over the lore book Duress Egress. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the advanced session of the week's exploration. Congratulations to those who've signed up for a deeper dive. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And this is I compare our topic this evening to my wife very often, and she's okay with it.
Green-eyed music lover.
Yes. That is my name. You're fine. They know who I am at this point. They know I never actually say my name.
And we also have Organ with us.
Hey,
I think. Okay, she's still
Organ.
there.
I haven't been fired yet.
The lady with the eyes over there.
The lady with the scary eyes.
The audio listeners are
Super
so confused.
Evil eyes. Yeah. Well, I'm sure the live stream's confused too if they didn't actually see that or like hear that part of the conversation, because Orca doesn't have cam on for the live stream either. But she did post something to Twitter.
Guys, if you are listening to this in the far-flung past, go look at Twitter. Future. Well, I don't... Guys, what is time?
Unless you're the merchant and the alchemist.
What is time? How is time? Okay.
What does time taste like?
It's strawberries.
No,
yeah,
surely not.
The middle of the galaxy smells like strawberries, so I don't know why it wouldn't taste like strawberry.
Green's face is so full of doubts right now.
But it has the same...
A taste of the sea.
A taste of the sea. Okay, Vero, I'm going to go with a taste of the sea and disappointment.
Disappointment.
Go back to the 9th of October
tuna.
Around, like, what would you say, like 9:15, 9:30? At night.
Yeah. Pacific.
Yeah, Pacific. Look at Hey It's Orchid on Twitter, and I left a gift.
I left a gift.
A giftable.
Oh man.
Raven
so,
says, let me get my TARDIS. Yeah.
So real quick, just a couple quick announcements. Just a reminder, we want to hear your thoughts on the Lore Network website, just the same as the last episode. Lore Network site, let us know how we can make it a little bit easier for you. If there's anything that we don't have that you would like there for like resources or anything like that. And then also just a reminder, if you like what you hear, leave us a rating and a review over on iTunes. Not just us, but also the Destiny Lore audio file, which is Green's project that basically translates all of what we're going to be actually talking about tonight into basically an audiobook format. Green, do you guys have Duress and Egress? I know you're working on Mara Senna right now, right?
Duress and Egress actually comes out in a couple of weeks. So by the time this comes out, it'll probably be out around the same time.
Okay, cool.
Because it comes out before the end of October.
Awesome. All right, so that is my two big announcements that I kind of have made myself a note to say every single time. So the intro session we spent talking about Asher's character. This session is going to be a crushing session over the character of Sloane.
A crushing
session. I believe chat.
I mean, I crush on her so hard.
I believe chat has said, I'm sure Sloane has a line of suitors courting her, every class, race, and gender.
I mean, I've been with people in my fire team who specifically try to jump down behind her just to, like, get a look.
She's got the best butt in the entire game, guys. I'm not
legendary.
They are. She's she's built,
sexy, guys.
Yeah,
like I have a thing for
my
thighs
wife looks
and,
like that,
thighs,
guys.
Man, just
it's
like,
pretty awesome. This went left. It went very right though.
Oh man,
we are definitely in the second part of this podcast.
It is late, which means it's slightly FFC after dark.
It is dark outside.
Mm-hmm.
Go us.
So that all being said, do you want to just dive into it?
Yeah, Blue. Read. Sloane, Overseer.
So Sloane, Overseer. This is the first entry. So I guess real quick, same kind of concept. We're going to look at just Sloane's story because it's a little bit easier to track through this particular book if you stay with the same character through the 3 entries. Each character, there are 4 basically mini stories within the book. The 2 that we are discussing this week are Asher and Sloane, and then next week will be Anna and Vance. So just kind of a guide of like what you're going to be kind of getting. This episode will be Sloane's story. So that all being said, this is the first entry. So it's Sloane, Overseer. Deputy Commander Sloane watched the overloaded Vanguard skiff dip close to the waves. "Watch it," she barked into the communicator. The craft straightened out. "That's liquid methane down there, and if it don't kill you, the Leviathan will." "Come on, ain't no Leviathan," said the pilot, his voice crackling. He was some boy from the city who couldn't have been more than 17 years old. "And if that's methane, how come you don't even have a helmet on?" Sloane grinned. She wasn't used to backtalk. "Because I moisturize, short-timer," Sloane said, and squelched the comms. A falling ketch screamed overhead, and Sloane was on the catwalk outside the rig in a flash. She bellowed at the men working on the deck to cover gear of the cargo as she drew her scout rifle and dropped to a knee. Their first few dregs were dead before they hit the ground, but the winds whipping off the seas sent her next shot wild. She figured the landing party would go for the cargo shuttle over her men, so she spun to take a sightline toward the craft, but the things were charging for the supplies instead. She cursed and leapt over the railing, landing like a crash of lightning. Her earpiece sprang to life. "Sirens watch. This is supply craft Vienna Stinger looking for a place to put down. Landing pad 5, south side," she shouted over the crack of her rifle. "Offload what you brought, and I'll have a supply team swing by in a minute." She plugged 2 more dregs, and the ketch's engines changed from a roar to a whine. A half-hearted volley of wire rifle fire splattered the landing pad from the ketch as it blasted away. Sloane called out to her team. No fatalities, nothing taken but 2 crates of fresh supplies. She ordered the team to the next landing pad and began climbing the long stairs back to her perch. They hadn't hit while they were loading the Golden Age technology for shipment back to the city. They were after the supplies. They were leaving. She looked up at the pyramid in the sky and frowned. The door to her office closed and sealed with a hiss. A soft blue light on the panel promised that the seal was airtight. Sloane walked across the room to watch the seas through the open hole blown in the side of her rig.
So, few things in this card. Sloane knows about the Leviathan, which I find cute. Sloane doesn't take any sort of lip from short-timers.
"I moisturize."
Yeah. Why Sloane can stand being on a liquid methane-based moon and not have really dry skin. Mm-hmm. She's got a great skincare.
I just love the fact,
plan,
speaking
guys.
of that, I love the fact that the door to her office is like, yeah, the seal's airtight. She walks across the room and there's a giant hole in the side of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because, the seal, got to make sure that's airtight.
Yeah. She wants that ocean's front breeze, guys. She paid a lot of money for that.
She does have a very good sense of humor. It's a very dry sense of humor. And I think a lot of you can call her a leader in I guess in the Guardians, because she is, I guess the leader of Titan, so to speak, the commander of Titan. And she leads with humor, I guess. Her very dry sense of humor. Because a lot of Guardians have kind of lost that over time.
Or they just get gallows humor.
Yeah, they do.
Sloane definitely has her limits with humor, though. And you'll kind of see that once we get the next one that you're getting ready to read here pretty soon. Because She's not taking any lip from Amanda coming up.
I love Amanda. There is one thing I do want to kind of call out here, because I just had a voice line on Titan when I was running some patrols. She made a comment about how every time she sends a crew out, she always loses at least one person. And so that kind of put more weight here for me, at least, when I was reading, when she reached out and was like, basically she called out to her team, and no fatalities. So that kind of puts more weight on that particular thing, because again, that dialogue line, she made a comment about how every time she sends a crew out onto the rig or into the rig, she loses someone. Mm-hmm. So I thought that kind of stood out to me. Rereading that after that dialogue I found that interesting.
That's interesting. I never caught that voice line. I know that the other thing that I found interesting.
Yeah, I literally have never either. And then I was just like, it was one of those things I was playing, and it was something that was in the back of my headset, and I was like, what? Hang on. And then I was reading this right now, and it was like, oh, okay, that puts that in a different, like a little bit of a different light.
She does call out the fact that the Fallen are not stealing. They're stealing supplies to leave. They're not stealing the Golden Age tech, which is what they were on Titan initially to do, because Titan was rich with it. But now they're just trying to get the supplies so they can survive. Anything else from this one, Jay, before we go to a quick ad break?
Chat and I are talking about her rage quitting over the thieves. And like,
I love that.
I know. It's like one of my favorite adventures. And it's like, even Zavala's like, let's give her some space. Like, she's like, let's not talk about that right now.
Asher says inconceivable or impossible.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Asher feels comfortable saying these things because he knows I am not on IO.
Because he's on IO and I'm not. Gotta love Ikora.
Okay, so another thing, Neo is mentioning that Sloane was in command of our past forces on the Dreadnought. Yes. I don't know if it was the Dreadnought that she was in control of, but she was in control of post the Rise of Iron, cleaning out of the Fallen. Sloane was a big part of that endeavor, as was Marcus Wren, actually. She was one of the ones that was helping command the forces that were circling around and cleaning up that mess.
I like how Sloane still is working on things, and Marcus Wren can be seen racing up and down the side of the wall
by the
tower.
I mean, are we surprised?
As long as Dee Dee doesn't write another musical,
another play. Priorities, according to chat.
Okay. Let's do an ad break before we get too far.
Hey.
Hi.
Do you enjoy being optimistic about bad movies?
Or do you enjoy at least trying to figure out where someone worked really hard on a bad movie?
Well, we've got the podcast for you. New to Robots Radio, we represent Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast.
Each week, we look at 2 movies that did really badly critically, but we try to find the good in them.
And we have segments such as What Could Have Saved It, and Would You Watch It Again?
If you're there on a Saturday night, you want to watch a bad movie, but you're not sure if it's like good bad, or bad, or if you should even bother, give us a listen.
You can find us on Robots Radio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you listen to podcasts.
Please come and say hi. We love you already.
Goodbye.
Do I have to do every one of the ad breaks? And we're back.
I mean, you don't, but you just do it so well.
You do. You were doing a dance and everything.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I've
been told by multiple people that I should delegate more, and so when I find something that someone's really skilled at.
Yep. What's the matter, Green? Your finger looks a little twitchy right there. I think there's a cream for that.
So Wavebreaker.
Oh, Virus is a flippable.
Oh, it's a flippable.
God. I'm going to read this card now, guys.
Now that we've gotten... Anyways.
Wavebreaker. Deputy Commander Sloane was in a foul mood, and Amanda Holliday, bless her heart, had no idea. Titan's waves crashed relentlessly against the massive support struts of Siren's Watch. Were things different, a crew would be down there right now, swinging between the mammoth legs, working to repair and stabilize. But things weren't different. You can throw together a box girder and reinforce it, no problem, Amanda said. You can. I can't, said Sloane. While she had built a few walls, Amanda had an enviable engineering background to fall back on, though it seemed she wasn't much of a teacher. Amanda's hologram slurped a ramen. How long do you need it to last for? Long enough to get it out of my mind, said Sloane. Since it started wobbling, I haven't even had time to worry about the pyramid. Small favors, chirped Amanda. Sloane ran a hand through her coarse hair. Come on, Amanda groaned. You're sitting on a mess of Golden Age technology on Titan. There's gotta be an engram with a bridge inside it. Sloane stared flatly. That might actually be true, but Sloane didn't have time to hunt for lost technologies. Make a wave breaker then! Tetrapods bolted against the strut, or better yet, something out in the sea to break the wave early. If you can't take it when it hits, you go out and hit it before it gets started, like this. Amanda leaned forward and did something in a ramen bowl that Sloane obviously couldn't see. You're not looking, Amanda said, and tilted her bowl forward, just enough to spill broth all over her desk. She cried out with laughter. I'm hanging up now, said Sloane. After a cheery wave at Amanda's melodramatic pout, she did. The hologram faded out, leaving Sloane in the dark. She stayed there for a long time.
So what I'm hearing is that I'm Sloane and you're Amanda. Because there's just that lovable, like, there's the happy-go-lucky Amanda, and then Sloane is, like, she's being stern and, like, wanting to get stuff done. But she's still enjoying Amanda's company. Yeah.
Just like this!
Just like this!
I could see Amanda, like, sitting cross-legged on the floor, anime style, with chopsticks and...
I was totally picturing her, like, sitting on her desk, like, holding a phone in one hand with, like, a bowl, like, perched on her knee, just kind of, like, shoveling, like, noodles in her, like, hand going, oh, yeah, like this! Like, plot, like, noodles go everywhere. Bowl on the floor. Like, oh, oops. Just find a bridge and an engram. That's where we keep them. Engram bridges. It's fine. You get so many blues, put them together into a bridge.
No kidding. That actually is something kind of interesting here, that she calls out that there must be an engram with a bridge in it somewhere.
I thought that was, like, I missed that the first time I read this card.
Yeah.
Because that boggles the mind. I mean, I know, like, in the back of my head that you can put anything into an engram, technically, because it's just data, but yeah.
The other thing with that is that a bridge would be such a simple item that it wouldn't need to be decrypted by a cryptarch or anything like that, that Argos could handle it. What else? It does call out that Sloane has built walls, like any good Titan.
Yes.
Was it Sloane? Okay, so that's what I was going to say, too. Was that talking about Sloane having built the walls, or was it saying that Amanda's built walls?
Sloane has built walls, because Sloane...
Okay, while she had built a few. Okay.
Yeah. She was just comparing herself to Amanda having inviolable engineering background to fall upon, or fall back on, because Amanda was building things at the age of 6 out on the road.
Yeah, I want a bridge to be
prodigy.
Yeah.
Just throw a tetrapod at it, right?
Well,
she wasn't doing anything that intense. She was making Christmas lights on the road.
We all know that the Titans become like the things that hold the walls up at the bottom, because that's what their bodies just pile up and pile up and pile up.
Yes!
Call back to the last Destiny Quarterly Lore Review of February.
Problem I have with that, though, is that their bodies would dematerialize because the ghost.
No,
do they, though?
Like all the do they?
That also went into another conversation we had on the Quarterly Lore Review. Do the bodies dematerialize? Also, yeah, to a point of clarification there, the Titans that are being buried under the walls don't have ghosts.
Yeah.
So then you just have, the Venice problem settling. The wall's settling.
Orchid, I don't even know it. Yeah, I'm not giving you that look. I'm giving Orchid's message in chat that look. Because I don't even know how to respond to that.
I can't help but see, like, I know you guys were talking about, like, Amanda, like your mental picture. Like, all I can see is Edward from Cowboy Bebop. Like, that is who I can now see Amanda as. Eating her rocket noodles.
Cowboy Bebop. I take your word for it.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things I have to show you.
I know. That's why we're going to do this new podcast that Blue and I have actually just started recording called Resist This.
Yay.
Listen to it sometime soon because it's going to replace one of these podcasts when we run out of content to actually put out there because...
Or when we decide to take a holiday.
This is true.
Holiday.
So,
yes, correct.
Look for Resist This.
Rose is saying, yeah, Mexico City is also similar foundational construction.
Yeah, it's sinking.
Guys, don't use bodies.
Or I mean, if you do, just find an easy way to be able to supplement it with additional material.
How about we just not build in places that are like
lakes,
sinking, lakes, swamps, things like that.
I'll let you tell the Venetians that was a bad idea. One orchid. Anyways, let's talk about the tetrapods.
Yeah. Tetrapod, an object or a structure with 4 feet, legs, or supports. So, an AT-AT?
Mm-hmm.
I was totally thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Or those creepy, like, robot doggos.
Yeah, those guys too. The problem that Sloane is having is that one of them is weakened because of the waves getting so much worse, I guess, right now. Because the waves are getting worse because of the pyramid being there? Or it's just the weather being so crazy?
I think I kind of took it that the pyramid was affecting the gravitational things and kind of just making stuff.
But I mean,
also, I don't know necessarily if it's something that is getting worse or it's just wear and tear.
It could be.
Because, I mean if you look at that structure, it's kind of not in the best condition.
And we've seen structures on Titan take some pretty big hits. The fact that she needs to build a wave breaker is, I mean, that's a very easy concept. You see wave breakers all the time out anywhere near the ocean because you don't want the land to deteriorate. We even have them here in Colorado, just on a smaller scale. Man, Black Flag's about to get banned from chat for trying to get me to say it AT-AT instead of AT-AT.
It's AT-AT. God.
You mean AT-AT?
It's the most painful video to watch. So when we're talking about the AT-AT, and like that's not...
Did you see Blue's like nod of approval and the fact that I called it an AT-AT initially? Like he actually...
I did. He did this little like, continue.
You are acceptable. Your nerd card is not revoked today.
Yes.
So the only other thing I wanted to talk about, we did kind of mention jokingly about the fact that there's an engram possibly on Titan with a bridge in it. The fact that there's so much Golden Age technology on Titan itself that they've been harvesting as not just Guardians, but also the Fallen, we're going to see one of the things that was found as far as Golden Age stuff in Rheastrad, which let's do that one and we can start to give final thoughts on Sloane's exit. Doom doom doo doom. After she watched the Guardian's ship roar off Titan for the last time, Deputy Sloane went into her office and put on the Golden Age technology she had claimed from the Hive. The heavy power source hung from her shoulders like a bandolier. She draped it across her neck and stepped into the suit, vast and clumsy. As she bowed her head into the gray hood, a view screen appeared before her. She did not understand the language. Not yet, but chose the green option. With a hiss, the suit conformed to her shape. It was heavy, but she had full range of movement. She focused on her arm, concentrated, and the material scabbed into a thick armored plates. Well, that was something. She tried to form arc energy, but the suit blocked her light. Or perhaps she would have to learn how to flex her light through the suit. She selected another option with her eyes and selected again to confirm. There was no pain as she felt the suit snake a cold tube through her side and coil somewhere near her stomach. That answered a few of her questions. Sloane lurched outside. There was a storm, like Titan was trying to drive off the invader that sat lazily in its sky. She walked into the gale, and the rain beaded on her second skin. Each step was easier than the last as the suit adjusted to her gait. A symbol flashed, and a hive thrall charged her. She gripped it by its neck and arm before tearing it apart. It was so easy. She laughed then, and the suit interpreted it as a battle cry and amplified it, broadcasting it. The sound echoed off the discarded shipping containers on the rainy landing pads, echoed through Siren's watch, and up toward the pyramid. Lightning flashed in the sky, and the storm raged on.
Green's just happy that Sloane chose the green option.
I mean, that's what you do when you, see terms and service, right? You just go to the green option.
Exactly.
Orchids. Yes.
Yep. That's what I would do.
Oh, good. Yep. Yep. This suit kind of made me really interesting. I brought this up with Blue the other day because my brain, of course,
she immediately
always...
regretted bringing this up because of one of the things I pointed out.
Gross.
The is it a colostomy bag or colostomy?
Ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
But yeah, that was where I a little bit of throw up in my mouth there.
You put the note as a comment in our show notes, ew. And you just put colostomy bag ew. That's what she wrote. She just wrote ew.
I just remember that conversation. She's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "You mean like a colostomy bag?" No. The response was just she's like, "Why?"
Fun fact, though, I have a cousin who had a very, very serious heart problem, that she was born with, and she had a feeding tube that went into her stomach.
Yeah.
So that's another reason for that, though.
Yeah,
Blue, I do think
because I've had family, well, not family, but really close friends or family who had a similar thing, but then they also had a colostomy bag. It was, and they were able to walk around and everything. I mean, medical technology is beyond fascinating, guys. Especially in today's world, it's just the stuff that we can get, that we can make our bodies survive with, is just fascinating. But yeah. It's okay, so for those who don't know what a colostomy bag is, in really PG terms, it's basically something that allows you to excrete processed foods if your body is not able to, for a host of reasons. Sometimes it's surgery, sometimes it's injuries. There's a lot of legit reasons why you need one. But in this case, what happens is there's a part when in what Green just read where there's a tube that snakes into Sloane's side. So it actually pierces her side, and then it coils up somewhere near her stomach. So and when I was reading that, I was like, oh, that makes sense, because if these are like exosuits, not an exosuit like what we are thinking of in Destiny, but like an exosuit that dock workers and all these people who are moving heavy things have, they're going to be in harsh environments. The best way I could think of, the best example would be something like, I don't know if any of you have seen Titan AE. It's an old animated movie, but they all have exosuits when they're working on the outside of ships. And that's kind of the thing, is they are going to be in these suits for extended periods of time. And, humans have needs to process foods. So this would make sense if this would bypass that and give them more time within that suit.
Something I find interesting is that written language is different now. This is a soft confirmation that Sloane does not understand the symbols and the language used in this suit in the heads-up display that is on there.
Well, there's a potential reason for that too, because she acquired this suit from the Hive. Right,
but the Hive did not create the suit. That The suit, from my understanding, is more of what you said, the dock worker type
yeah,
suit,
that's true,
right?
'cause
Like,
it
was used to help with freight,
I
which
forgot
meant it was a golden age tech.
Yeah, and it calls that out. It does call that out. I'm sorry. Yes, that's true.
It's just that she had gotten the engram itself from the hive, or the technology from the hive, which means that this information or this technology, the language that was used in it specifically, is not the same language that Sloane, and very likely, since Sloane reads the same stuff that we do, we're probably, in at least compared to Titan's language, we do not speak the same, or do not read the same at least.
Yeah, and Neo's saying, they've forgotten German. In the city, there's a call out that...
I kind of agree with Black Flag. When I read through this the first time, my brain immediately went to...
Mjolnir.
Like Mjolnir armor, Spartan armor.
I mean...
I don't think that's necessarily what it is, because we don't have any military thing on Titan. It's the peaceful thing.
That's my counter argument to that being... Like, I understand, like, what... And then your counterpoint to that was, like, why did the suit interpret as a battle cry then? Like, and it... Because the suit, like, if it interprets it as a battle cry, it would need the programming to understand what a battle cry was, which would imply that the suit has battle programming in it. But then I go, and I still go back to, but we know that the Pacific Arcology was a group of pacifists because of the whole Last Days of Kraken Mare. Like, when the Exos landed with Rasputin, they were the ones that brought weapons with them. Now, that being said, this suit could have been part of that... could have been part of that detachment, which that's interesting, because if that's, that has a few other things.
Yeah. I don't know if there's much else on here. Did you, are there any comments on Sloane's transition out?
Danting is also saying he sees a similarity between this and Mara's suit on the Yangla Way.
Yeah.
The only thing that I have to challenge that is Mara's suit was able to be retracted completely, and this seems to be a more armored version of that. Now, that also, this is a little bit harsher environment. It's a more aggressive environment than the vacuum of space. Like, the vacuum of space is nothing, whereas Titan actually has something that will injure you if you're exposed to it. So that might be part of the reason why the technology is a little bit different there.
I mean, the technology is similar, so I would say that it could have been made by the same. We don't know.
Right. I mean, the Pacific Arcology has ties to Clovis Bray, as does everything in this universe, it seems like. I wouldn't be surprised if Clovis Bray had a hand in a lot of the materials that are being used.
Yeah, they had their fingers in a lot of pots.
And that's Dancing is saying, his point is that we don't know which colony Mara's family is from, and both New Pacific and Yang Lewei wanted to achieve life independent from the Traveler and independent from Clovis Bray. So that's a fair connection there, actually. I can see that connection being there.
Interesting. I don't think there's anything else I have on this one, really.
Either.
I got one. Sorry. The suit. The suit blocking her light. I found that actually kind of interesting, that the suit had a light blocking capability, even if it was from the inside out. Why would that need to be a thing?
Shielding? Maybe not blocking, but shielding. Or maybe shielding from the darkness so it doesn't her coming?
But the Golden Age, I don't know, blue?
I didn't read it as much as... So, like, I didn't read it that way. I read it as, it's like, if you're... so, like, I do some stuff with, like, blacksmithing and, like, metalwork. And if you have, like, whenever we get new gloves, you have to break in your gloves because your gloves will be really stiff. So, like, I kind of took it as she's so used to being in fights without armor. Like, well, not without armor, but without this level of armor. And so she's used to exuding her light just that particular way. So now that she has a different set of armor on, she just has to, because she even calls that out. She says perhaps she would have to learn how to flex her light differently, basically. Right.
Which is a possibility, but it never is said whether or not she can. Just at the moment of Sloane trying this for the first time, she can't actually push her light through yet. she's doing actual physical things, like she grabs the thrall by the neck and destroys it that way instead of punching it like you would normally and having the electrical shock come out of her hand.
I guess my mind, the way I read it was like, it's like if I went to pick up something with my bare hand and then I went and I put on a welding glove and I tried to pick up something, it's my hand is not going to be as dexterous as is without the glove. And so it's not that you can't do it. You just have to figure out like that muscle memory. Your muscle memory is only, what it's used to. And so this is something that she's never done. And that's where I was reading it.
Sure. I understand what you're saying. It's just, we don't have proof of it either direction right now, whether or not it is actual muffling of the light or if it's just she needs to practice.
Well, and then, and Black Flag also mentioned the plasteel armor that she's wearing is actually already kind of like attuned to light as well. So like it could be also a matter of the armor is just not attuned necessarily. It could be something as simple as, hey, this armor is made by Guardians, and so they kind of like unconsciously even infuse the light into it that makes it more easy to channel. Whereas this was made by people before light even was a thing, or before light from the Guardians were a thing. And so there's like that, just like, it's kind of that whole, this isn't really, it's like a cold thing instead of something that's already been warmed up and ready. Oh, okay. Yeah. And so that's where the other dancing saying this could also be a narrativization of power levels, because you have to practice to use the light through our armor in general. So like as you grow in power, you become more familiar with your armor. Because I think the only other time that we see something blocking light is with the hints that we got from Drifter, right? From the Beyond the Edge with the the containment pods or whatever. Because those were the banks, right? That he designed into banks.
He got the inspiration for the banks from it.
And they were containing creatures, well, as far as we know and kind of can guess, they were creatures of darkness, correct?
I don't think it's actually ever called out
okay.
as creatures of darkness, but creatures unlike anything he's ever seen.
And were those, I remember, and this is just because I didn't read this before, but were those creatures able to neutralize light? Wasn't that part of the problem with them?
I think so, but it's been a while since I've read that card too, Jay.
Because that's the only time that I can think of. I'm just trying to think if that would be a technology that would. Also depends on where that was, but yeah, okay. So yeah,
do we have any final thoughts on this lady? Besides, she has the most incredible posterior of all the Titans.
I'm a big fan of the thighs.
Me too.
Right?
They're totally on point.
She must use a band when she works out.
Shapely, super shapely.
Activates those glutes. Best
way to do it.
Activate those glutes.
Blue.
No, I think that you guys have nailed it. I think that, I think in this sense, it's another case of us seeing a character that has become normalized in our eyes as kind of being a reminder of, hey, no, these are very powerful guardians in and of themselves, or very powerful figures in and of themselves.
I think the thing with Sloane's story in particular is she would never had the stigma against her necessarily. She was always a strong character, so there's not as big of a transformation to see from a writer's perspective.
I would agree with that. And Sloane has also had, I think, a lot more exposure, I think, to the community, because Sloane has been around in the lore, at least, since like well into D1. Like, we've had Sloane ever since, like, what was it? Was it right before Rise of Iron that we got Sloane introduced to us? I mean, it was.
She was only on lore, though.
Right, that's what. But cards. I mean, but she was input as like the like not the second in command, but like pretty high up there in command of the Titans. So she's always been kind of I think kind of what you were saying. She's
she came
always
in at
been
the
one
same
of those
Age of Triumph.
Powerful figures.
She was in Age of Triumph. I don't know if she was called out before that.
Okay, yeah,
because she's in Fallen 6.
But yeah,
same time that Asher got introduced.
Mm-hmm. But and Asher's introduction was him being unconscious.
Mm-hmm. I think Do we have any shout-outs to do or final call-outs before we wrap
really
up?
Just the standard, let us know about the lorenetwork.com, the website. Let us know if there's anything we can do to make it a better resource to you guys. And then also be sure to give us a rating and review either on Podbean or wherever you listen to us. If you have the time, please, iTunes is definitely the best for most podcasts. That's where a lot of stuff gets pulled from. And that's not just for us. That's for really any of the podcasts within the Lore Network, but also especially Destiny Lore Audiophile, which is Green's project that she does, where she takes all the stuff that we basically talked about tonight and she makes it into an audiobook, which is super, super helpful for those who don't have time to go and dig up the actual text.
Also, just be good to each other. Right now we are in a interesting and hyper stressful season. For those of you listeners who are in the US, please be nice and kind to each other. You don't have to agree on everything. Just you have to get along enough to not go to jail. So please don't go to jail.
Let's not do jail, guys. Yep. No jail.
Yep.
No jail.
Be kind to each other.
Be
kind.
Be kind to, yeah. No jail. That's the low bar that we're setting this.
Yep.
Don't go to jail.
Yep.
With that being said, I want to thank you for your time. And until next time, remember, don't go to jail. With wisdom, we conquer, stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring. With that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over on Twitch for coming to spend your evening with us. If you'd like to join us for the live streaming of the episodes, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusedFireChat. Links to all our episode archives can be found at www.thelorenetwork.com. Please be sure to email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com with any comments and or questions for the team concerning the podcast, and let us know how we're doing by giving us some feedback and a rating over on iTunes as well. So until next time, focus your fire and may your light shine bright.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.